Hi team, Richard Greer here, CP coach. We're talking with Abby, sport nutritionist, and I thought we'd have a bit of a chat around running nutrition for a marathon. Hey, we're running some long distance, 30, 40 Ks, well 42.2 in terms of the marathon, or if you're doing a shorter option, what should we go for in the race? What should we be thinking about in terms of how many carbohydrates should we be having per hour, hydration, all those sorts of things? Where do we start?
So obviously before the race we want to have practiced that and got that sorted, so we know we're not trying anything new on race day.
So practice it first. Practice what we're about to tell you.
Yep, absolutely. So another tip before we head to race day is to know who's sponsoring the event and know who's going to be there on the aid station. So you might find like Pure Sports Nutrition is sponsoring. So, hey, let's try use this product before we race.
Or
Tailwind is another good option.
Or SOS, because we've got them here. What else have we got here?
So when it comes to amount, I suppose, roughly, we're all different in what we need, obviously, but roughly around 50 to 60 grams of carbohydrates per hour. So say if we were to look at this electrolyte, Pure, that has about 37 and a half, so be mindful that that's probably not enough for the full hour, so you might want
37, so that's to be made up in like 750
exactly,
drink bottle for the bike, isn't it? So so that's a whole drink bottle. So
So if you're racing with a bladder on your back, then cool, that's probably going to be a lot easier to work out how much you're actually taking in with that. Gels. Now gels are probably personally I think an easier option when it comes
for a marathon.
For a marathon and controlling how much we're actually having. So say a GU gel or the Pure gels as well. Again, this is roughly 24.9 grams of carbohydrates. This one here is 22, so work that out per hour how much of that you're going to...
This one, high five's 23.
There you go, high five's 23. So have a play around with it, see how much, or see what you like first, and then think, okay, I'm probably going to need a couple of these per hour. So figuring that out, say, okay, the first hour, I should be absolutely fine. If I've eaten well, you've hydrated before the race. And then coming into that second, third hour, that's when you need to start having, your sports nutrition, your products. I don't know, again, everyone's different, but I personally struggle eating dry foods when I'm running, especially...
Just because you're puffing so much, aren't you? You've got no saliva in there at all. Try eating a piece of chocolate when you're puffing hard. It's a waste of time.
Whereas other clients or friends of mine can absolutely go fine on an M's Power Bar or peanut butter, but personally, I think most people would work best on, say, gels or electrolytes in terms of their...
So the first thing that's going to slow you down is being dehydrated, isn't it? So making sure you have some water and making sure you get that in. That's number one. So water's really, really important. And then also, what are your... how do you have these things? Because if you just have gels, you're going to become dehydrated and it's too much sugar for your body to actually digest. So how do you do this?
Yeah, totally. Well, have it with water. So maybe you want to, again, if you're just racing with nothing, obviously close, but no, pack or anything, then aid stations, you'll be able to time out the aid stations, think, okay, every 4 Ks I might hit an aid station, so that's when I'm going to have some water and chuck down a gel.
One of those, so I have one of those coming into the aid station, so that's done and I'm running through, and then I find 2 cups of water. That's kind of one of these and 2 cups of water. Is that what you'd recommend?
Yeah, totally, absolutely, definitely have it with water. I mean, you'll find, comparing, say, brands, I don't know, that one's a wee bit more liquidy than, say, the Pure, but having this with water is an awesome option.
More gooey.
Yeah.
So they're still the same amount of carbohydrates. So I'm having 2 cups of water. So the key part of that is actually make sure I have those 2 cups of water. So if we're running a marathon, if we invest in that early on in the race, that's going to pay dividends later in the race from a hydration perspective and an energy perspective. If I run through that aid station, I'm going to have that, and I'm going to throw some water at my face, and then I might have half a cup. So that's actually, I'm going to become dehydrated.
Yes, exactly. And we know that when we're dehydrated, performance is affected. We get hotter faster, our sweat rate increases. So all this stuff that's probably going to slow you down and make you not reach that target if it's a time goal, if it's actually finishing the race. So hydration is key. Knowing who is sponsoring the event and what products you're going to have on offer. So maybe 2, just throw this into the mix. At the end of the marathon, you might be looking at, hey, I really want some Coke or some, flat Coke, or they also might have Red Bull. So do not try it on race day. Again, that's going to really screw up your race at the end of the race.
So some caffeine is an option.
Some caffeine, some caffeine and sugar, so in the form of flat Coke. So might be a good thing to trial while you're running or training before a marathon.
And the other thing just to throw in there in terms of how to drink your drink in those little plastics or the cardboard cups is actually gripping the top of the cup and actually pouring it like a drink bottle is a really good way as well, just to actually make sure it doesn't just go all over your face.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. And practice that. Practice, it might look weird if you're out, and about practicing drinking out of a cup, but come race day, you'll be thankful that you did, because logistics of running and drinking out of a plastic cup can be kind of difficult.
Exactly. Cool. No, that's great. So fuel your body, hydrate really well, take your time to make sure you do it, and have a plan to make sure it's not the first time you try it come race day.
Exactly. Planning is so key, and that's one thing that can really make or break your race day.
Nice. And I think we deserve a high five.
Yeah.
Good stuff.